Josh, I'm glad you're here because you asked me a heck of a question, and emotionally, I probably wasn't prepared to answer it with a clear mind. It was about leaving an opportunity on the table and not having quality opportunities in front of us. We've got real good games in front of us against SEC caliber teams. If you don't have quality wins at this time of year, then yes, that loss would have been a detriment to our possibilities. Is that a better answer? Because you asked me a good question. I just emotionally wasn't prepared to give you an intelligent answer. We've got enough quality wins. We just need to win games. That's what we, we're not in a place like the last 2 years. We haven't had quality non-conference wins. So you get an opportunity against a top 20 team, top 25 team like LSU, you have to go win that at this time of year. This year, we've got those kind of wins already. We got enough of them. What we can't afford, which is the one intelligent thing I did say, what we can't afford at this time of year is a losing streak. That we got to negate that. But I'm glad you're here because I felt I gave you just not a clear answer as to why I'm not worried, because we've got enough. We just got to keep, because we do have a couple losses that you're like, we can't afford to have a losing streak right now. It's hard to overcome that. But as far as we got enough quality wins, road wins, who we've beaten, where we've beaten, we just got to pile up more wins here coming down the stretch.
Kind of a meandering train of thought here, Frank, but you just played Georgia very recently. This late in the year, do you see teams change styles when you're about to play them a second time in so close a period, or do you pretty much say that's what we're going to get again and you can prepare for the game plan that way?
Yeah, we're all kind of pretty much who we are right now, and I don't think anyone's going to deviate a lot. I've seen one minor adjustment by Georgia from the last time we played to now, and maybe it's just my eyes. I thought the first time we played, we were able to minimize how much Edwards had the ball in his hands. So he didn't have it in his hands a lot. As I've been trying to prepare for them yesterday, I didn't prepare for anything Saturday night other than get out of my feelings. As I tried to prepare for them yesterday and all morning today, I think the one, maybe, I don't know if it's an adjustment or my eyes are just, I'm so concerned with him, my eyes are telling me something they didn't tell me the first time around. The ball's ending up in his hands sooner in the possession. So we got to be prepared. He's a real good player. I don't know the young man, but I know a lot of people that are known him his whole life, and everyone raves about the competitor that he is, who he is as a human being. So if all the things I'm being told connect, we're going to get like a big-time shot from him on Wednesday. We've got to be prepared to absorb a very, very aggressive, very good player, and figure out a way to neutralize that best we can.
On that train of thought of wanting to obviously pile up wins these next 2 weeks, how much of a benefit is it that 3 of those 4 opponents are guys that you have faced before?
It's the same benefit as it is for the opponent. And it's obviously 2 of them, we get to play them at home. So if there's a benefit is that you get the home game the second time around. You'd much rather play at home than on the road. The game's all matchups, and there's certain teams match up better with certain teams match up better with others. With us right now, it's just it's I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but there's certain matchups that become very difficult when you're down Justin Minaya and down Jalen McCrary. Jalen is full go, so he'll put in 2 real good days of practice now, unlike the LSU game where he just got cleared 2 hours before the game. So there's certain matchups that get really, really difficult. What happens is with Justin and Jalen, when we play teams like LSU, Georgia plays a lot like LSU, where they play a lot of 5-out guys. Now you've got personnel that gives you physicality, but you don't lose your ability to guard on the perimeter and rotate and do certain things. When you take away Justin, well, now put a bigger emphasis on Jalen, and he was really starting to do things better for us. You take him out of the equation, and now we become a team that's deficient in having physicality and size to be able to defend out on the perimeter against certain kind of players, and we just couldn't overcome that. I think we had some shortcomings defensively, which I told you guys about, which when I watched the film, it reaffirmed everything I felt. That we got to not fix because it's not broken, we got to refocus on over the next couple days. And then having Jalen back, hopefully he gives us 2 really good days of preparation so he can go out there and be a confident player. But it's contrasting styles. Mississippi State plays big, pound you at the rim, play through size, and then you turn around and you got LSU who plays 5-out. This week we got the same situation. LSU plays 5-out, but a very physical brand. This week we got the same situation. It's just Georgia instead of LSU, and it's the 5-out style before you play the physical style. So we got to be prepared to manage this week, hopefully a lot better than we managed last week from a preparation standpoint.
Talked about having good wins or good games in front of you from an RPI net standpoint. This has kind of been a weird year in college basketball where there doesn't seem to be necessarily a dominant team. How would you evaluate what the SEC is this year, top to bottom, in comparison to maybe last year or 2 years?
Yeah, look at Kentucky. Every game they play is a 2-possession game with a minute to go. That should give you an idea. Ole Miss, Penn State's the darling of the Big Ten. Ole Miss got them in a non-conference game. Illinois has had a heck of a year, and Missouri got them in non-conference play. And you can say, well, yeah, but your team lost to whoever, so that makes you bad. I'm not trying to say that those games make us a great league. I'm not trying to say that our game against whoever make us a bad league. All I'm saying is this league's really good, and top to bottom, it's really good. And it's easy to look at teams, just look at their record and say, oh, they stink. I get it, and everyone always uses the old Bill Parcells quote: "You are who your record says you are." That's a little deceiving in this league from the losing standpoint. This league has no bottom. It's really, really difficult. It's even our 2 games we just lost this week. I mean, we're right there to win the Mississippi State game, and obviously we got down big against LSU. But with 30 seconds to go, we got a fighter's punch, a fighter's chance, and. So this league's gotten really, really difficult. I mean, every game it's down to a play, a call. It's really hard right now.
Alonzo's a guy who kind of stepped into the starting lineup when Justin went out. What kind of steps do you still need to see from him, and what have you kind of seen him maybe develop through this season and maybe even the last 5 games?
Yeah, with Alonzo, it's all aggression. It's it's a constant battle with him. He's a very talented young man, has very good hands, has a very good footwork, can pass the ball, has strength, With him, it's all he's got to have more aggression with how he plays. He's got to be more assertive with what he's trying to do. And he's a real good kid that's trying to. Last year was a hard year for him because of injuries. And this year, a lot was expected. And I'm not talking about outside. I'm talking about internally amongst us in the locker room. A lot was expected of him from taking a big step forward. He's done that at times, and then at other times, like against LSU, I thought he was at Mississippi State. I thought he tried. Tennessee game, I thought he tried. Against LSU, I thought he was back to being passive and a lot of standing around. And he's a talented young man that just has to continue. I say this all the time, and I use that quote I heard, I don't know who, I was driving, and thank God I don't listen to sports talk at this time of year. I'd probably quit my job, but and it's not because of people talking, it's just all the opinions. But I can't remember what I was listening to, and they were talking to some guy, and it was about education and whatever station I had in my car. And the guy used a quote about you can't force a flower to bloom quicker or bigger than it's destined to. All you can do is continue to water it. And with Lonzo, we just got to keep watering, and allow him to grow and bloom at the rate he's destined to grow.
Frank, this is a team that, at times this year has really, risen to certain challenges. I'm wondering, when you say to us, you can't go on a losing streak here at the end of the year, do you share that with them as well? Is there any benefit to those types of talks with your team?
Yeah, I mean, not in those words. I'm very, it's just the way I live life. It's the way I try to manage my kids. It's not coach speak, it's Frank Martin speak, if that's what you want to give. I've been on the ugly side, and I live in a pretty nice side right now. And I understand how humble you have to be in the way you go about your business every single day. When it comes to sports, heck, I used to not talk to people for 2 weeks when my block would lose a tackle football game on asphalt playing the block down the street from our house. And if we lose, I'd spend 2 weeks and wouldn't speak to a soul. It's so I've seen sports where you're very good, and I've seen it when you're not very good. I've seen it to where it's an innocent day, like I just said, on a Saturday afternoon when you get home and you're all cut up and bloodied because you're playing tackle football on the asphalt. But you lose, and that meant so much because it was against the block 2 blocks away that, now when you went through their block on your way to school or the park, you had to keep your head down because they kicked your tail. So, that meant so much. And now we've changed as a society. So it's kids aren't exposed to that anymore. It's always another day, another game, and no big deal, win or lose. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just the way we live right now. And so I've been exposed to all that. So as I'm raising my children, and I've continued in coaching. When I was 1990s coaching high school basketball, I told you guys, I don't know how those poor kids dealt with me because I still had that mindset. And we'd lose a game, we come in the next day. I was single, I had no children, I was a miserable SOB, I had not slept, I had to go teach my math class at 7:30 in the morning on 2 hours of sleep. So by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was a miserable human being. And I take out all that negativity on the poor guys in practice. And what's that fixing? Does that make sense what I'm saying? So I've learned to where I don't get wrapped up with anything past today. I understand the life that these kids live. I've got a 21-year-old and I've got a teenage daughter and a soon-to-be teenage son. So I know the environments that they're around every day. I see it with my own eyes. I feel it. I deal with it. I've been coaching kids between the ages of 18 to 21 for the last 20 years. So I know their journey. I recruit these guys. I know where they come from. So I say all that to you in a long-winded answer to say to you, when I deal with our players, everything's about today. Not tying yesterday's feelings or emotions into today, and not worried about tomorrow until we have to deal with tomorrow. Worry about today. And that's kind of my message to them from day one, and it never changes. My messages that I share with you guys is more for our fan base. And if you want to be that fan that thinks that us getting told that we're in the tournament in February makes you happy, or you being told that when you click on that link, well, no, they're off the bubble because they lost a game, that makes you miserable. I'm trying to help our fans. Like, don't do that. If that's who you want to be, I can't help you. But in reality, we don't sign up. It's like you think we tell our players in November before we play our first game, we're going to practice as hard as we do. We're going to demand as much as we do. As coaches, we're going to lose sleep 6 days a week trying to get every bit of information we can to help prepare you guys so they can say we're on the bubble in February. You know what I mean? There's not a single second of emotion or effort or energy that goes into that. So when I share that with you, just to give our fans perspective, we're in this ride together. I was a miserable human being Saturday night. It had nothing to do with the bubble, had nothing to do with the NCAA tournament. It had to do with the fact that we lost at home. And we had worked real hard to win at home, and we just lost a home game. And it had a lot more to do with that.
Coach, given what you said just throughout today's press conference with you can't go on a losing streak and then focusing on the day, given how the season has unfolded, what gives you the confidence that this team can be resilient and handle the challenges down the stretch to maintain a position where they'll be in consideration in a few weeks?
We were 0-2 and down 14 to Kentucky with 10 minutes ago. We came back and won. We're 8-6. We're not 4-12. And I'm talking about league play record. So it's just got to believe in the people you're around and not. If I doubt, you honestly think our players are going to be any good? If they doubt, do you think they have any chance of succeeding on the court? And, the score of Saturday's game should, if anyone, I don't want to speak for anyone on our team, but I was in the locker room. I don't think there was anybody in a joyful mood in there. And that's all right. That's the way you should feel when you lose. That's how I felt 40 years ago when I lose in that football game on the asphalt. And, when you lost in that pickup game on Saturday afternoon and you knew you weren't getting put back on the court for 2.5 hours because they don't pick guys that lose. It's as simple as that. It's, and that's how we felt in the locker room. But that's okay. You know what I did the next day when we lost that football game? We went and played again. And you know what I did the following Saturday? We went and played again. And I figured out a way not to lose the next game. And so that's the way we treat our players. That's the way they treat each other. It's about believing in one another. It's not about saying, well, my block stinks, I'm going to go play with the guys on the other block. No, it's about, we got to get this right because I'm walking through that block with my head up high. I'm not going to walk down that block trying to hide from people. And so it's, Joe, it's if we were, I don't even know our record. What's our record? 16-11? If we were 11-16 and we were, instead of 8-6, we were 4-10, okay, I can see where we're scrambling trying to find answers. That's not who we are. We're in a good place. We've won games. I think this team has shown unbelievable growth, again, I might add, from who we were in November to who we are now. We just lost to a top 25 team. We didn't lose to, I'm not going to say school names. I got myself in trouble with that a long time ago, and I was, as soon as it came out, I was embarrassed that I ever did that. But we didn't lose to team number 364 in the net out of 354 teams. Does that make sense what I'm saying? We lost a hard game against a real good team, and nothing, you're never going to feel good about losing a game, but we've got 4 more to play. And we're in a good place. we have to win a game. That's it. We don't have to win 4. I told Derek Scott. Derek Scott says, well, we got to go on a winning streak. I said, stop. No, we don't. Got to win a game. Got to figure out a way to beat Georgia. That's it. When you win one, then you do it the next day. That's kind of where we're at.
Frank, you mentioned earlier in the season how Trey was kind of struggling to grasp the system and everything that you guys do, but he seemed to do that and then get back on the floor. How do you think he's playing now, having all that under his belt and facing some stiffer competition down the stretch?
Yeah, I thought he had made progress, and then he didn't have a very good week last week, which is the problem with freshmen, is that as soon as you think they're starting to figure stuff out, they get distracted or their mind goes to a different place, or they're not as consistent with the play, or they have to play against Skylar Mays and Nick Witherspoon, and that creates a major problem for a guy that's in college for the first time. So it's and when you have those matchups like we had last week, 2 elite point guards and proven successful NCAA caliber point guards, you need to be on your P's and Q's, and there's a certain I don't mean to keep using the word humble, but there's a certain approach you got to have day to day in your preparation that allows you to be humble on the next opponent and your next matchup. And Trey didn't have a very good week last week, and I'm not. You asked me a question. I'm trying to be honest, and we need him to be better. He was better for a couple of weeks, and he played a lot and played a lot better. Last week he was, but that's the journey, man. You find me teams. To Joe's question earlier, find me what team is playing 3 point guards who are all freshmen and is 16 and 11 and 8 and 6. That's why we got a chance, is because we got some resilient guys that they figure out a way to come back and fight a little harder.
You mentioned this a little bit kind of at the beginning, but I wanted to sort of follow up on it. How much does not having a Justin Minaya change structurally the kind of lineups that you can sort of play, obviously with his versatility and ability to play a couple spots and with different sets of people?
Yeah, it's the Justin had created. Justin was our leading offensive rebounder. I want to say if you kind of took a snippet, meaning the maybe 10, 12 games before his injury, he had actually was either tied or up a couple on Mike Kotsar in block shots. So Justin had developed which had given us a toughness personality at the rim with a guard defensive ability. So when we play teams that play small, for lack of better words, we didn't lose our physicality or our ability to defend on the perimeter. So when you lose him, now you got Mike, who's fine there at the 4 spot, but you lose Justin's 3-point shooting. So now you have to figure out a way to make some adjustments offensively to circumvent the fact that you got one less shooter on the floor, which I think we did by trying to create more opportunities for Mike, not from the 3-point line, but from the 15-foot mark. But what happens is now that puts greater onus on Jalen now becoming more productive as a basketball player. And then it makes Alonzo and Wildens, when you play smaller teams, have to impact the game. Well, then you lose Jalen too. Now you're playing a team that plays small, and if you're playing Mike at the 4, then either Alonzo or Wildens is at the 5. And when one of them are at the 5, and you're playing a team that plays 5 guards, it complicates things a little bit, because neither one of them is in a place. Like, I'm not part of this new wave thinking that dominant big man can't play in small ball. Give me Shaquille O'Neal, give me Hakeem Olajuwon, give me real centers, not pick and roll centers that go in there and throw their body around at the rim and demand that you throw them the ball. Good luck with small ball. trying to deal with that guy, because you're going to have to double him every play. So now guys are getting step-in threes, and if you don't double him, he's going to destroy you at the paint, which deflates your team. See, analytics doesn't read that. Analytics are numbers you put in a computer and it spits it out. You know what analytics don't do? What deflates the other team? That deflates the other team. And Wildens and Alonzo are not in a place where they can be that dominant low-post offensive player. They help us in spurts, but not if they got to be out there in extended periods of time offensively. So when you lose Justin, you lose what I just described. When you lose Justin and Jalen, then you lose, because now you can slide Mike to the 5. And now you lose our ability to defend those perimeter-oriented teams a little bit better. But we were doing pretty good when we had Jalen, and we were surviving and we were growing, and now we got to get back to that this week. But I said it when it happened. I probably didn't say it publicly, but it's the one player that we didn't have anyone else like him on our team in Justin. He's the one guy that's different. Like, we got a bunch of guards. You can kind of put this one aside, put the other one in there and figure it out. Got a bunch of bigs. We can kind of put that one aside and figure it out. The one guy that was unique on our team as to what he brought every day was Justin. When we lose him, trying to replace his uniqueness is not simple.
Kind of following up on that, Frank, you mentioned kind of reaffirming your beliefs in what you saw defensively from your team in film. What did you see, and how do you kind of go about fixing it in practice today and tomorrow?
Yeah, it's a lot of guys reacting. When you play good players, you better be playing before they catch the ball. You better be playing before they make their cut. If you're allowing them to catch or allowing them to make a cut and then reacting to that, you're going to have a bad day. And we just played 2 NCAA tournament teams in Mississippi State and LSU. That's who we played. We didn't play, team with secondary players. I mean, Tyson Carter's basically a 4-year starter. They asked him to come off the bench this year. Nick Witherspoon's a 3-year starter. Woodard, I think that's his name. He's on everyone's NBA draft board. Started every game since he's been there. So, and I'm talking about the guards. Those are the perimeter guys we played against. Then you go back and we just play Skylar Mays, who's an unbelievable player. I mean, he's really good, and he's a 4-year starter. And Javonte Smart, who's on draft boards, and he's basically a 2-year starter. And you can't be in react mode when you play those kind of guys. You have to be engaged. You have to be aggressive before they cut. You got to have your responsibilities in place before they catch. Because once they catch, you're not taking them away. You're just going to try and make it difficult for them. And we've been on reactionary mode basically since the Tennessee game. We escaped against Tennessee, and we couldn't escape the last 2 games. Yep.